Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We have Stevie Nicol, we've got Frank Leboeuf and Nedum Onuoha here with us. No Sean Connery jokes tonight, I don't think. But I will say, Stevie, I thought the goulash joke was funny. I might be the only one, though.
Well, I guess I was in the wrong company.
You were in the wrong
such
company.
a cracker out.
What's his favourite sport and time to play it?
Don't know.
Tennis.
Tennis? Yes.
OK, guys, sorry about that. Right, Frank, the first question is for you. If you were to be made head of PSG tomorrow with absolute power, what would you change to get this team on track to win the Champions League?
I know what he's going to say.
Oh my God. I think I will play at 3 at the back for sure. And I will search for a definite defensive midfielder. So I will try to buy N'Golo Kante or Anderson or Kimmich to make sure we can win the Champions League.
Stevie knew what you were going to say.
Yeah, I was actually off camera, but I was lip-syncing every word of Frank.
Right, yeah. Defensive midfielder. He was. All right. Another PSG question. Is there any way for PSG to be defensively solid with 3 players up front who will never do the dirty work? I'll ask you that again, Frank.
It's complicated. We've seen that the last 4 teams who won the Champions League were teams who worked together, playing together, defending together, which is not the case, of course, and we can see that with Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain team is based on the talent, on individuals, and not on what the team can achieve together. And today it was the case again. So you have to be strong defensively. You have to make sure you're very, very strong with the 7, with the goalkeeper, other players, and then maybe you can win the Champions League because of the talent of the 3 at front.
Stevie and Nedum must have both dealt with this in their careers. What is it like, Stevie, if you do have people in front of you who are just not going to put the dirty work in?
Depends how your team's set up.
Okay.
The Liverpool teams I played in, everybody defended and everybody got attacked. Everyone was trying to be done as a unit, as Frank's talking about, so that it was just a case of everybody doing this. But then you've got other teams I played with where you clearly had a guy who was so important that, you know, you had to let him just be the guy who's going to go forward and score goals for you. So it depends on the makeup of your team. The problem PSG have got is that the 7 can't deal with the opposition. It seems pretty straightforward. Well, you know what? It sounds okay that you should be able to have 7 players and a goalkeeper to defend, to let the other 3 stars get on with it. And it actually works to a point. Unfortunately, they're almost at the summit and they can't get there. And that's the Champions League, because it doesn't work at the very highest level.
Nedum, have you had any experience of this during your playing days?
A little bit, but it was with the Delta Raps actually, and we were in the Premier League, and everyone saw the sort of star power they had when we were in the Championship. But the Premier League was a far different affair. So I think in the Championship before I arrived, they would kind of work extra hard to allow him the opportunity to be himself and express who he was, and he was incredible that year. But then in the Premier League, you can't afford to carry anybody, especially when you're the underdog for basically 30 games in a season. But then there's the other side of that coin where, as Stevie was saying, you know, there's a bit of nuance to it, because I've been in teams where, you know, you've had attackers who are desperate to come back and defend, but then as you look at them, they never look like they're going to score. And as a defender, I always like to have people on the field who I knew could get us out of any particular situation. So, you know, while the PSG front 3 are as dangerous as they are and they keep scoring, you know, you'll kind of turn the blind eye to it. But should the goals ever dry up, and I don't even know if that's possible, then I think you start to run back with a bit more sort of rage in your body. But we'll see how they go.
Yeah, we will see how they go. Stevie, how do you evaluate Trent Alexander-Arnold's play tonight?
Tonight, well, I don't think he was any worse than anybody else, to be honest with you. I think Trent's game's pretty straightforward. Listen, you want to get him the ball from the halfway line forward. Get the ball at his feet and things will happen. What you don't want is him having to defend 1v1 against anybody, which is, again, partly the reason because, you know, when Liverpool are ever under pressure, Klopp always takes him off and plays Gomez at right back or Williams or anybody else because he knows that's where his problems are. But on tonight's game, he wasn't any better or any worse than anybody else.
Nedum, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think at times Liverpool did look very stretched at the back, and you kind of wonder how much of that was down to the fact they didn't have a true solid six like Fabinho in there. But, you know, the way Liverpool started the game, it was great. But the ease in which Atletico at times could just go through that defence and some of the chances they had, you know, is a little bit alarming. But as Stevie said, I don't think Trent was any worse than anybody else within that back four. Because as a collective, I think ultimately, you know, they just didn't do well enough in key moments.
It was a big win for Ajax, obviously, against Dortmund. The next question is, can this Ajax side make a run in the knockout stages of the Champions League like in 2018-19? And should Ten Hag be on the top choice for some of the big clubs around Europe if they change managers? Frank, what do you think?
It's possible. I mean, the talent is there. But, you know, like I've seen Leipzig tonight, you know, who I think was much better than Paris Saint-Germain. At the end of the day, those teams are confronted with the talent and the experience of the others onto that competition, and that's getting complicated. Nobody is surprised anymore by a so-called less better team. So I don't think Ajax will go far because they have the talent, but they don't have the experience, and some other teams are much better than them. But everything is possible. I didn't hear the second part of the question.
Should their coach be should be on the top choice for some of the big clubs around Europe, basically, if they change managers? Are you surprised he's still there?
Well, you know, I like to see those new generations of coaches, you know, coming over and showing something fantastic. Jesse March, the American Leipzig coach today, gave a lesson to Pochettino, and Pochettino had to change his tactic to match with Leipzig, and at the end of the game, you know, winning the game. But that guy, you know, and some other Nagelmans and many others, they're showing the way to a new football. And it's very encouraging, and I think that coach should go somewhere else at some point to show all his talents.
I was trying to think of anybody other than Van Gaal who has coached Ajax to a high level that has actually left and done anything. I can't think of one. Leboeuf, there you go, another one. That didn't work out too well. I mean, a couple of years ago, I can't remember the coach's name. He went to Dortmund. I think he lasted 18 months and he was out the door. So I think it's difficult to gauge, because Ajax are always going to be successful in their own domestic league. So I think sometimes it's hard to gauge how good the coach is, because if you win with Ajax, well, most coaches do win with Ajax.
Okay, so you're not impressed?
I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying that, you know, if you win with Ajax, there's always going to be a question whether you're good enough. Because, as I said, other than Van Gaal, I can't think of another one who's left there after winning to another team in Europe and done particularly well.
All right, expanding on Nedum's recounting of the Man City takeover, how did it feel when more and more expensive signings filed in? Just to make you relive those moments, Nedum.
Do you know what? It wasn't like things changed at the club, but a lot of it changed because of the manager, not necessarily due to the fact that the club had more money. Because in the manager we had at the time, which was the second manager, which was Mancini, like he came in and he wanted to change everything, change everybody. Like he was saying players like Joleon Lescott, they said his calves were too small. Roque Santa Cruz, his quads weren't big enough. You know what I mean? There was lots of little things like this, and as the money was there, they put a lot of faith into him. So it wasn't necessarily just the volume of players coming in, it's the fact that he wanted to specifically replace certain people who he didn't have a sort of connection with. But in some ways, you know, while you were still there, it was exciting because you had to raise your level on a day-to-day basis. Gone were the days where, you know, in the past, we'd bring in some players of significant stature, but their best years were long behind them. Now they're bringing in younger talent with their best days ahead of them, who are already really of a high standard. So you had to get better to fit into that whole setup. So in some ways, you know, added competition for places, raised the bar, and the team got better and better and better. So even though, you know, it ended up that lots of us ended up leaving, I think in some ways it kind of made us better players in that moment because we had to fight even more to try and get hold of that shirt. Whereas in the past, you know, in some ways it was just given to you without really having to try too hard. So I guess it was a positive.
Yeah, actually a good thing. Just been reminded of Cruyff and Rijkaard. Steve.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only ever been 3 managers then. If you want to go back to the 70s
well, that's
or the
what I was
80s,
wondering. You're saying in recent history then.
so we're talking 40 years ago with Cruyff.
All right.
Okay, I guess that helps my point.
Okay,
actually.
this is
You've
going
got
to
to go back 40 to find somebody.
Okay, this is going to be very biased with tonight's panel, but we'll see what you guys say anyway. If you had to switch positions for one game, who would do a better job? Attackers playing in defence or defenders playing in attack? I'll start with you, Frank.
Easy. Come on, Frankie.
There is only one answer. There is only one answer. A defender playing at front, you know.
Why?
Because we can score goals, and because we are football players. But to be a defender asks you to have a certain mind, to be ready, to be willing to sacrifice for the other, which is not the case for attackers. Attackers are selfish. They just think about playing when they have the ball. It's not a reflex for them, an habit for them to work when they lose the ball, which is our duty. Therefore, we can, you know, add something to our game. And I score many goals because I knew how to score a goal. I'm a football player.
Stevie,
So it's natural.
The best five-a-side teams, when you're training, will always beat the forwards, the defenders. Always. Because they don't know what they're doing, basically.
Right.
They don't.
You guys are saying they're not very nice, they've got a low IQ. That's what attackers are, according to you defenders so far.
Sometimes it's hard to quantify things, but it's just a fact that when you're in training and you pick five-a-side teams, the team that's got the more defenders on it will win. Guaranteed.
All right. Nedum, going to be a clean sweep here?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Never even in doubt. Because the thing is, everybody wants to score, but lots of people don't want to defend. So when you make them go back there to try and defend, they just throw their arms up and expect somebody else to do it. And I think that's the key thing to it about attackers. Like attackers, like as Stevie was saying there, you can split the teams up. And attackers, if they score a ton of goals, they're brilliant front runners. But when they need to actually dig in to get a result, they go missing. Whereas for defenders, we can dig in and we can be front runners and we can find a way to win because that's what we're about. We're sort of like the thought process, also the last ditch, you know, the ball doesn't go past you by any means, but then you'll do everything you can to score. Attackers, it's like, oh, just give me the ball, just give me the ball. Well, you're all standing up there. Who's going to give you the ball? So it's a clean sweep, no question whatsoever.
Said so well from the Defenders Union here tonight. Just to end, Stevie, just in case people are still wondering about your Sean Connery joke.
Oh, shush.
Can you tell Nedum the joke?
Shush.
Oh, he's a prick.
Go on.
I tell you what, you started with, right, there's no Sean Connery jokes.
Okay.
Now you want me to do it again?
I know, but it was 3 times last night, so let's continue. Let's do it
Right,
fourth.
Nedum, quick question for you.
Please.
What is Sean Connery's favourite food? Goulash.
I don't know. What is it?
Radish.
Goulash.
Frank just said radish.
Radish.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Same again tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks,
Same
Kay.
again tomorrow.
I don't know.
Well, I'll try again tomorrow.
I don't know why he's funny. It's not because he's finishing with ash. Maybe it works, you know, but can you tell me why he's funny? That's
I think that's
it's why I said radish.
By the way,
So I got
by
it.
the way, hey Frank, can you tell me any French comedians? off the top of your head? Yeah, there's a reason.
Jean-Paul
There's none.
Belmondo.
Oh yeah, the well-known
Oh,
Jean-Paul.
come on. Oh, come on.
Yeah, when was the last time?
Jean-Paul Belmondo and the guy who played in Léon.
When was the last time any of them were on
Alain Delon.
SNL?
Okay, hang on a minute. But this,
Well,
just to say,
we don't speak English. We don't speak English.
Stevie,
You know,
you would also say that your
Stupid
favourite
question.
food's better than French food. So it might be a question of taste here, right?
No, you can't argue. French are not funny.
No, but is French food better than British food?
It depends who you ask. If you ask Frank,
Of
he's going to
course.
say French. And if
Of
you ask
course.
me, I'm going to say Scottish beef. Absolutely, 100%.
Ah, come on.
What would you rather have, Scottish beef or a frog's leg?
don't go to.
I mean, come on. It's not even a contest.
You go to the cliche. The last time I ate frog legs was like 20 years ago. We don't eat frog legs. I mean, that's a cliche. It's like we don't have a piece of bread, you know, every time we walk down the street with a beret. I mean, that's
Garlic
stupid. Are you wearing
Oh, you
a
just eat
skirt?
snails instead.
Are you wearing a
Eat
skirt?
snails.
Yeah, I bet you've got a black and white
you wearing a
t-shirt
skirt
on
every
underneath
day?
that
Come
thing
on.
you've got on.
Yeah,
shows you black and white t-shirt.
It's written Le Petit Gaulois. No, it's bleu, blanc, rouge, look. It's French. It's very French, Le Vieux Gaulois. The
Tell you
old
what, I
French
bet
is
you-
called. Because before
I bet
we were
you've
La
got-
Gaule.
I bet you've got an accordion under your feet that we can't see, so you can give it one of them.
All right, let's end it there then, shall we? Stevie is wearing his kilt under the desk
Hold on,
today
what's
as
that
well.
smell? You smell that? It's onions.
We'll see you
Where's that
tomorrow.
coming from?
Maybe we'll get Stevie to say the joke once more.
Stevie, can you get up and show us your kilt? Can you get up and
Today,
show us your
maybe
kilt?
tomorrow.
I left it at home.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.